Good to see you. Yeah, no, I've had the airplane there for 2 years. So it's in your constituency. Yes. Yeah. I can fill you in on the whole patch.
So are you really good in the cafeteria at like 1? Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
The Red Rock is nice if they're going to sit outside.
Say that again?
The Red Rock is beautiful if they're going to sit outside. But if they're going to sit inside, maybe Anthony's.
Yeah. Well, Anthony's a little more fancy, but...
Hawthorne by the sea.
You can't go wrong with these.
I just went there for dinner.
Was that like 20 minutes?
It's about 10 minutes. Just head out on the water whenever.
Perfect. Thank you. That's great.
So, where are you headed tonight?
Function in Boston.
Okay. Nice. I live in town.
Okay.
Harbor Towers.
Okay. Excellent.
You're from Linfield?
Yeah, I grew up in Linfield. I live in Linfield now. I was a state senator from Malden, Melrose, Woodley,
Yep.
I own a business.
Nice. I used to be in Boston as well. All my brother worked for commercial real estate in the city.
Yep.
I worked for Colwell and I lived in the So we all, my father wanted us to all go to something.
We're Northwood.
Okay. And you still do that part-time?
Yeah, my partner's running the database.
Yeah.
I'll be back there.
I mean, running one of these must be full-time.
Yeah. It's kind of nice though, because I ran, with Charlie. The state's so huge.
You must be crazy.
This is big, but it's 39.
Right. What is the district? So it's Lynn, Swampscott, Dale.
Yep. That area. And then it goes down to Bedford, Burlington, Wakefield, Reading, Sardis. It goes all the way down.
Okay.
Newburyport, Salisbury, Westbury.
So it's a big district. And Scotland. Yeah. Right. Well, anywhere.
Oh, hey, how are you?
Thanks for coming.
Good to see you. Happy to be here.
We don't care. Yes.
Hey, Richard, Jim Smith. How are you?
Yes.
I mean, I did shallows.
Are we in like senior vice president? You guys are all wearing senior vice president of what? Senior vice president and
And I didn't realize too, so busting over out. Very well. So that's my mom was. You guys went to Scotland? Oh yeah. Like, because my mom is a fiance.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
We have all these.
Yep, we're going to start in a couple minutes.
How'd you pick this?
I don't know.
That's what you're about, sir.
Congratulations. That's great. Good job. That's great. You're going to do a commercial spot with us. Okay. Gotta do it. That's great.
We get friends from the tier.
Oh, I know.
Here? We can't have a felon in office. Good. Time for you. Yeah, Richard. This congressman has teammates that are nothing. He's 16 years in office. He's introduced one piece of legislation, totally insignificant. He's an absentee guy. He's a felon. He lies. He's a man. He has no character. Time for you. You as a young person should be more aware of the facts and what's going on. This congressman, he votes with Nancy Pelosi 199% of the time. He doesn't have a brain of his own. He's a total party line guy. Wake up. It's your generation that's going to stop. I got to undo this. Oh, yeah.
John's wife. No, we're not going to go down to the physical plan, so we're all set up.
Hey, Paul.
I'm going to ask you a question. You can stay here if you want, but you need to stand back and get out of Richard's face. You got it? Otherwise, we're throwing you out. Good? Thanks.
I can go right now. You want to go after this?
We were talking about, I guess we can be anywhere. Talking about how you would say, please like to hire
Your son. Good. Crooked arrow. They hired your son. He was coming to my Cheryl's office. He was the quietest kid. He said hi to me.
Thank everybody for coming. I'm Tim DeMarcus. I'm one of the family members here at Old Neighborhood Foods. And for those that don't know, we're a meat manufacturing company where we sell nationwide with the military, but we're primarily an East Coast company. And as you know, the economy is not doing that well these days. And with competition out in the Midwest where they can slaughter their own and where we can't do that out here on the East Coast, our margins are even smaller. So it's a very important time where we have leaders that are business friendly, you know, that are looking to help businesses out instead of demonizing them, which is why we're supporting Richard. And I want to thank you all for coming. And Ryan from the, Rob from Chamber of Commerce would like to say a few things. Thanks.
Tim, thanks so much, and thanks for everyone for attending. I know we've got a lot of great U.S. Chamber of Commerce members here with us. Richard, thanks for taking the time. It's good to see you again. We had a couple good visits down in Washington. For those of you that don't know, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce turned 100 years old in April. We represent 300,000 businesses all across America, every state, every major city. 96% of our members are small businesses, and we're in a time in the American economy and American history where our members have been under an unprecedented threat. You know, it started in the light of day in the halls of Congress with legislation like Obamacare, cap and trade, card check, And then it's continued over the course of the last couple of years in the regulatory arena with the alphabet soup of government agencies that make it harder for businesses like this and for businesses like yours to succeed. And the fact is that in this race, we couldn't have a more clear and compelling choice between the candidates on business issues. I didn't think that it would be possible to have an elected official that has more extreme views than Elizabeth Warren, but we might have that opportunity with Congressman Tierney here in this particular race. Congressman Tierney has a record of failure on business issues. He has one of the most hostile anti-business voting records in all of Washington. And if you think about that, that's quite a statement these days. And so our job is to identify candidates who represent the best of the free enterprise system and to understand that Washington's job is to provide common sense policies, a common sense plan, a common sense regulatory framework, and then get out of the way and let businesses like this do what they do well, and that's grow jobs. And the fact is, you know, it's the private sector, it's the American free enterprise system that is going to get our economy going again. It's not Washington, D.C. It's not the Department of Commerce. It's the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. It's the local chambers of commerce who stand with people like Richard and know that he's going to be the candidate that will be the congressman that shares our view that it's the free enterprise system that's going to get this economy moving again. So let's look at Congressman Tierney's record. It's 28% out of 100 with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce on business issues. That's a failure by any measure. It's unacceptable. That's why the voters in Massachusetts are going to make a change coming in November. That's why we're proud to be here. We're proud to stand with Richard. He has one of the strongest voting records on behalf of Massachusetts job creators, according to the Associated Industries of Massachusetts. And so we're proud to stand with Richard. On behalf of the 300,000 members of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, we endorse him in his campaign for Congress. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for turning out today. I really appreciate it. I want to thank Tim for allowing us to use your place as a backdrop for this event. It really means a lot to me.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Anytime you have a 98-year-old business that's been through 4 generations, that means a lot. I'll be back for your 100th anniversary. Hopefully I will be as the congressman with an official proclamation for Washington. A lot of people know me from my career in public service, serving in the House and serving in the Senate over the years. My last 4 years as the minority leader. But there's something else that's very much a part of me, and it really is the thing that has really formed my opinions and the way I look at the world and look at things, and that's the fact that I'm a small business owner. My company is turning 60 years old today. I'm the 3rd owner. We clap, but it's a real estate brokerage company. The last 5 years have not been easy, and I can't tell you how many nights I stayed awake at night in bed. I couldn't sleep because I was worrying about paying the bills, you know, how I was going to pay the mortgage, how I was going to make the payroll. And those are the types of things that small business owners all across this district have to really deal with each and every day. And I just want people to know I understand what's going on out there. And I also, you know, owning a business, especially a real estate business, when the crash came 5 years ago, you know, we had a almost 55-year-old business at that point that had done things a certain way. We lost 35% of our revenue, just like that overnight. And what I had to do is I had to figure out a way to keep the business running and to provide service that was exceptional to people so that we could stay in business. And I had to look at our operating model, every single thing that we did, and try to find a way to cut costs and to do things differently in order to survive. You've all done that in your families, I'm sure. Every business has done that in this district. Every community has done that in this district. The state has a balanced budget. They have to do it every single year. The only people that haven't done it is the federal government. They have a printing press in the basement of the Capitol, and they just keep printing out more and more money. They're not worried about anything. And I got to tell you, they've put our country in grave danger right now. So thank you very much for having me. I want to thank Rob and the United States Chamber of Commerce, as I said, as a small business owner and a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I am really proud and honored today to accept the endorsement of the United States Chamber of Commerce in my campaign for Congress. Americans need to get back to work, and it's time for Congress to roll up its sleeves and get started working on real solutions that are needed to reboot our economy. Right now, as a percentage, we have the fewest number of people working in the United States at any time since 1982. Unemployment has been at 8% for 42 months and counting. Here in Lynn, the unemployment rate is very close to the national unemployment rate. Last figures I saw were 7.6%. And I think most people here recognize that that doesn't even take into account all of the people who have given up looking, all of the people who have had to settle for part-time jobs, all of the people who have just, kids coming out of college, they can't get into the workforce. When you add all that up, the real unemployment rate is something like 15%, and it's a problem. Clearly, I think most people here understand that we can do a lot better than we've been doing. But in order to do so and to move forward, our elected officials have to understand that it's not the government that creates jobs. The jobs that are created in this country, in this area, are created by small business owners like Tim, right here in Lynn, in Salem, in Peabody, and all the other communities across this congressional district. And I gotta tell you, I spend a lot of time with businesses. I've probably met most of your members here in this district, because I spend at least a couple of days a week touring businesses. There are some business owners here that, David's here somewhere, that I've been to his business. I've been to a number of businesses. And when I go in, I talk to the owners and talk to the employees and try to find out what's going on. And the businesses I'm going to are small, they're medium, and they're a large-sized business. They employ thousands of individuals across this district. And I get to meet, again, with the job creators, and what they're telling me is something that really should concern everybody. First, they tell me that there's no certainty and there's no predictability right now, which makes it really difficult for them to take a risk, to move forward, to expand, and most importantly, to hire people. The second thing I hear a lot from people is that no one really knows for sure what's coming next. What's the tax rate going to be 6 months from now? Does anybody know? And it's a problem. What new costs are headed their way? What new legislation like Obamacare is being passed that's going to impact them? What new regulations are coming down the pipe that are going to change the way and make it more difficult for them to do business? I'll tell you, the most disturbing thing that I hear from small businesses, the most frustrating thing, is that when you go in, they say when the inspectors come in and the regulators from all the different federal agencies, it's a gut-ya attitude. The inspectors go in and they want to write you up, they want to fine you for this or that, instead of working with business owners in a cooperative fashion to help them succeed. That's not happening right now. And that's not the way our government is supposed to work. The government is supposed to be helping people and not becoming an obstacle to people moving and businesses moving forward. So I want to say, I want to go to Washington. I want to work with both Democrats and Republicans. I want to work with anybody who wants to help get this economy rebooted and jump-started. And I've had a history of that as a state senator. I work with Democrats to really solve some complex problems here in the state. As was mentioned, I had the best voting record by the Associated Industries of Massachusetts, the National Federation of Independent Businesses, local branch here in Massachusetts. I have a record of helping job creators create jobs, and that's exactly what I want to do as the congressman. I have some local priorities, and I just want to mention them really quickly that pertain specifically to this district. First, as a congressman, I will vote to repeal the medical device tax, and that's a tax that has been one of the 21 tax increases that's hidden inside Obamacare that's going to impact this region probably more than any other region in the country, because we have a higher percentage of medical device companies here, biggest cluster here in Massachusetts than almost any other part of the country. This is a 2.3% excise tax on gross revenue. So it doesn't matter if a company makes a profit or not. They're paying the new tax. Now, even Elizabeth Warren has come out and said that this tax will kill innovation with this industry. This is the only part of our economy that's really been a bright spot over the last few years. It's actually creating jobs. The average job is between $60,000 and $80,000. They're manufacturing jobs. They're exactly the type of jobs you don't see in our economy anymore. But yet, our own congressman, not only did he vote in favor initially of the medical device excise tax, but every attempt that's come up to repeal it, when his own Democratic colleagues like Nikki Songus and Bill Keating and other Democrats across the country have tried to repeal that tax, and Elizabeth Warren came out against it, he won't do it. And I will, as the congressman, because I care about those jobs. I'm not going to let medical device companies implement hiring freezes and start laying people off. I'd also say, and issue, now that's tax policy. There's other things that affect a lot of district companies too, and I'm going to work on those policies to try, again, to create a better business environment. But I'd also say there's a regulatory problem right now. I see it in my business when people try to buy houses and they can't anymore. If you're a small business owner or you're an independent contractor and you are credit worthy, try getting a loan to buy a house. It's really, really difficult. And that's because of the regulations in Dodd-Frank have made it so difficult for lenders to be able to lend. And that doesn't, you know, if you're a small business owner and you're going to the bank and you're trying to get a line of credit, it's practically impossible to do right now. Very, very difficult. And that's having a huge effect on our economy. You only have to go up to Gloucester and look at what overregulation has done to the fishing industry to have a good idea as to the negative use of federal power. Not only they put regulations in place that have wiped out a lot of the fishing industry, but they've also, you know, you see the heavy-handed government in action, where NOAA is really persecuting a lot of the fishermen, stealing money from them, and using it for, you know, boondoggles. I mean, the stuff, you know, totally inappropriate things. So I want to go to Washington. I want to work to improve the regulatory environment, and again, to help businesses thrive. Finally, let me just say this. As a small business owner, I understand that the free enterprise system, as you were saying, here in America is the thing that has made our country so special. It's the reason why we're so prosperous as a nation, and it's definitely the reason why we have such a high standard of living. And I will do everything I can as the congressman from this district. You'll never hear me calling small businesses extremist. You'll never hear me calling small businesses, you know, saying that the Chamber of Commerce has a radical agenda, as our current congressman did when he found out that the Chamber had endorsed me. That's the type of thing that we don't need anymore in this country. We need people, again, who are going to sit down, work together, get the job done, and get people back to work. And that's what I want to do as your congressman. I want to thank all of you for coming here. Rob, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Finally, I want to thank all the business people and chamber members who came here today. Especially, at this point, I want to call up Arthur Bork. Arthur is somebody who's been a selectman in the town of Linfield, and he's also the owner of Surveillance Specialties.
I'm not a member of the U.S. Chamber, and I didn't know I was going to speak here today 5 minutes ago, but I do run a small business. We employ about 80 people, and I want somebody that's going to go to Washington, D.C. to look out for the independent businesses that don't have union employees. 85% of the businesses out there today don't have members of the union working for them. I don't, and yet we see stuff coming down from the National Labor Relations Board and stuff that's going to regulate our business and our industry that's going to benefit greatly the union and the union members. And I'm just not in favor of that, and I think that we need a congressman that's looking out for our interests, the independent business guy, and not the interest of what the unions want and how the unions want it done. So that's my primary reason. I think we need to have somebody down in Washington, D.C. that's not going to pump hundreds of millions of dollars into grandiose schemes of green companies. Somebody's going to look at reality. I know what I could have done with a very, very small fraction of the money that went to Solyndra. I probably would have hired a couple of employees and a sales guy that would still have a job. It would have made my company more successful. It would have contributed more taxes to the economy. It would have done a lot of different things. And I look at the millions and millions of dollars that got wasted there, and in Evergreen Solar, another boondoggle project. We need to stop this waste of money. We need to get back to what made America great, which was small business people that bootstrapped their companies, as my wife and I did, out of the cellar of our house 25 years ago. I remember those sleepless nights. I remember waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning when we didn't have enough money in the bank to make the payroll the following Friday, and we hadn't had a paycheck in 8 weeks. I remember looking at her and saying, I don't know how we're going to do it. We figured out a way through. There was nobody from the government in that room that night telling me they were going to help me build my business. There was nobody. But I do want to thank them for allowing me to drive over their roads. We have 50 trucks. We buy thousands of gallons of gasoline every year. And of course, that gas tax doesn't help at all build those roads. I haven't earned my fair share of those roadways. So I want to thank them for the contribution. Richard's been a long-time friend. I've been a long-time supporter of his, because when I've gone to the State House at a very local level and asked for some consideration to try to control some of the crazy things that were going on there, he was always the guy that came through that always was willing to try to find a good way to not necessarily take it one way or the other, but walk down that middle of the road, work both sides of the aisle, and make things happen in a very good way. And I don't want an extremist down in Washington. I just want somebody that watches out for the interest of the small business guy and for the people of this country. So I couldn't endorse Richard strongly.
I don't know if anybody has any questions for Rob or myself or.
No, Aaron, I was supposed to introduce Aaron. Oh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you. My name is Erin Calvo-Bacci. I own Bacci Chocolate Design, which also owns and operates the Chocolate Truffle in Boston Cupcake World. We are a chocolate manufacturer just over the border in Swampscott. We have retail stores in Reading and Winchester. We are members of the Chamber of Commerce, and we are so happy to support Richard because as a small business owner, he does understand what we go through. We are not bank financeable. We have sold our family home to put the money back into the business to keep our company going, which has doubled, which is really frustrating that we still need money. We have moved our family into a 2-bedroom apartment. We're a family of 5 to keep going. It's frustrating. All the burdens that are continuously put upon us make it very difficult. And just like Arthur said, there are many sleepless nights. And our children are young, and we're trying to do this for them. Burdens such as the medical device tax impact us in ways that people don't understand. We are also a way for companies to market. They're able to use products from us to help them get their name out. But we're also a luxury item, so these companies are not coming to us anymore, which has drastically impacted us. We need change, and Richard will definitely bring the change that we so desperately need. So I am honored to support Richard. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Savignon to come and speak.
A little history. I've known Richard for about 25 years, worked with him both on the state level and local level. We couldn't ask for a better person to represent us. Small business is really under attack. So therefore jobs are under attack. And our priorities have to be people and jobs. That really is it. Not parties and politics. So Lynn really deserves a candidate, Richard Tisei. Our district deserves Richard Tisei. So Richard, on behalf of all of us, please welcome, thank you, and good luck.
Any questions from anyone or from the press? Anybody else want to give a speech? A couple of good candidates here.
Thank you all very much for
Thank
coming.
you all.
Folks, if I could have your attention for one more minute. Anyone who owns a business, we're going to hold a roundtable discussion downstairs. Just a question and answer session. Richard just wants to know what's going on. Just follow me if you want to come down.